Hi guys! On today's vlog we have a very special guest with us called Said Belhaj. Said is a professional climber and a musician as well, and today we're going to ask some quick questions to him. And the first one is, Said, you've been climbing for more than 20 years, and why did you start climbing?
Yeah, there's not really a really simple answer to that, but like all other kids, I was climbing a lot in trees when I was, in a young age, and I guess I kind of, most kids stop at a certain age, maybe when they become teenagers or something, but I just kept going, you know?
Okay.
And at one point, I had kind of taken my tree climbing to a limit where I didn't really know how to take it to the next level, and that's when I discovered rock climbing.
Okay.
And it was partly when I saw a TV program on Swedish television.
Okay.
It was kind of a program about different adventures, and one episode was about rock climbing. And there it kind of, clicked. I realized like, wow, this is what I want to do in the future. And also there is on the opposite side from where I live in Gothenburg in Sweden, there's kind of we call it a mountain. It's not really a mountain, to be honest, but it's a very obvious rock formation. Yeah. And I was very drawn to sort of discover what that was, and the obvious way to do that was to climb. Okay. And so it was kind of a combination of these two things. But the thing is, at that time, this is more than, it's kind of 25 years ago now, there was very few sources of information at the time in Sweden. There was no internet, there was nothing like that. So I didn't know anyone who was a climber. I didn't know really what climbing was, to be honest. Yeah. So it was very kind of a slow start, and I had to figure everything out on my own. I was too young to do a climbing course at the time. I was too young to enter the climbing walls. There were some bad ones at the time, but at least they existed. Those things would have been maybe a good way to connect with the climbing community, but it wasn't possible for me at the time. So there was only one book at the library that was kind of a crash course in climbing techniques and things like that. So I read that one and went off on an adventure. Okay. With that knowledge, and it was always a very big adventure because, well, you can read a book, but it's not the same thing as if someone teaches you exactly how it works and who is there with you, showing you the way. And also the second problem was with the climbing gear. I was so young and didn't have enough money to buy the necessary stuff. And at this time it was traditional climbing, so you need quite a lot of gear, to do it properly. So I kind of manufactured most of the things on my own, and one example is the harness. I made it from a seatbelt from a car, and etc. So it was a very adventurous time, but also it really shaped me as a climber, and I think in many ways it was good to kind of find your own way in climbing, because nobody told you how it was supposed to be done.
Yeah. Okay. My second question is related to music. You're into music as well. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I started playing the violin, the classic violin, when I was a kid. It was not my own idea. It was my parents that kind of forced me to do that because my bigger brother also played the violin. I guess they just wanted me to have that in my life, that musical aspect. My grandfather was and still is a musician. And my parents they're not musicians, but music lovers, I guess you could say. And, I played the violin for 10 years. I still play, when I visit my grandfather in Finland. Then we play kind of a Finnish dance music repertoire, which is kind of a traditional thing, a lot of tango and waltz and these types of things. But the violin was maybe never my favorite instrument. Okay. But then when I became a teenager, I discovered I was a lot into electronic dance music. Okay. So I kind of discovered the drum and the percussion. Okay. And mainly, from West Africa and Latin percussion and things like this. So I started to play a lot of that kind of stuff. And through the years, it's just one thing has led to the other. So today I'm mostly into, if you talk about instruments, string instruments from North and West Africa, and to be more exact, from Morocco and from southern Mali.
Okay.
So I play this type of Gnawa music, which is kind of an Afro-Moroccan music tradition from Morocco, and hunters music from Wasolo in southern Mali.
Okay.
But having said that, I mean, I still play percussions and drums and violin and different flutes, and I have a whole house full of instruments, depending on what kind of occasion it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying not to limit myself as a musician, but at the same time, if I would choose on my own, I would prefer to play these traditional styles in their traditional way, which is really difficult here in the Occident, because traditional music it's a bit too much to listen to if you're not initiated to this music.
Okay,
it's like Swedish folk music.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do it with a fusion with other things, maybe with electronics or with funk or with jazz or something like that. So that's mainly what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you feel that the music is a way to focus on something else besides of climbing, or is it just a way for you to another way for you to express yourself?
Well, I guess it's kind of both, actually. I mean, it's obviously a way to express yourself in different ways that you maybe can't really do in climbing. Maybe it's creative in a different way, but also it's definitely a good thing to make you focus on something else. At the same time, I mean, climbing for me it's a big inspiration for I mean, climbing is a big inspiration for music and the other way around.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't climb all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, it's good to have something else that's completely different. I mean, not only is music different from climbing in the way you do it, but it's a different scene, it's a different kind of people, it's a different it's different in many ways. And at the same time, there are some things that make them the same. But the way I see it, it's two worlds, actually.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Okay.
But it's I think it's a very good compliment. I mean, you climb in the day and you play music in the evening.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and I have some other questions. Yeah, who inspires you? And that could be anyone in the climb business or somebody outside the climb business. Just anyone. Is there something in particular?
Yes, I mean, there's been a lot of people and happenings that has inspired me, but I think if I would just mention one person who's a big inspiration, it's my music teacher, Christer Botén.
Okay.
He's a Swedish composer, musician, and artist. He's over 70 years old, and we've known each other for almost 15 years now.
Okay.
And I mean, he's more than a teacher. He's more almost like a father,
Okay.
And what inspires me so much with him is his attitude towards life and music and art.
Yeah.
And he's got a very free attitude, and I mean, he's kind of getting old,
Yeah.
But he's still so hungry to discover more and to do more. I mean, yesterday we had a concert together, and a lot of people, when they get to a certain age, it's like they kind of give up and they stop doing what they love. And for me, that's crazy,
Yeah.
I mean, how can you stop doing what's your passion? It's something that you do for your life. And in the case of Christer, he's still as crazy and passionate about all these things. And to be honest, he's one of the persons that I can really talk with about climbing.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't know anything about climbing, he understands me better than most other climbers.
Okay.
Because maybe we have, there's something that links us, in our way of looking at certain things. So he's a big inspiration and a good friend and a good mentor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So for the final question, what's your next big project in climbing?
I wish there was only one. But in climbing, it's I mean, I've been doing this for so long, and some people kind of think that I would someday slow down, but there's so much to do in climbing.
Yeah.
Areas to visit, areas to discover, routes to climb. And I mean, in my head, I have a whole list of routes that I want to do. I have a whole list of places that I'd like to go. But I mean, like in the near future, now it's kind of the end of the summer. So for the autumn, I'm trying to go to France and to the US and do some routes that I haven't done before. Also visit some places that I haven't seen.
Okay.
But for the next spring, I have a really difficult route that I'm trying to do that I've tried for several years.
Okay.
It's a route called Papi Chulo.
Okay.
It's set up by a good friend of mine whose name is Chris Sharma.
Okay.
He's one of the leading figures in modern climbing, and it's situated in a place called Oliana in northern Catalonia in Spain.
Okay.
And it's, I'd never really tried hard in climbing, and I would like to do that at some point. I mean, I've always tried hard, but I've never projected a route for years and years,
Okay.
So that's kind of a new process for me, and it's very difficult, but it's very rewarding at the same time, because the more you put into something, if you actually succeed, it will give you so much back. So I'm trying not to be too lazy and forget about this route. So I would really like to dedicate a lot of time and effort to this. But I mean the list goes on forever,
Yeah.
And although I've been climbing for a long time, it still feels like it's just the beginning,
Yeah.
I still feel like a beginner. There's so much to learn and discover still. So yeah, it's great in that way.
Okay.
Climbing never becomes boring or the same. It's always something new to do.
Yeah. So cool. Said,
Yep.
thanks a lot
Yeah,
for
thanks
having
to
me
you.
here.
Yeah, great.
And well, guys, we see you next time.